Hey guys, happy Valentine's Day and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a tutorial on this eye look right here. I wanted to keep this very soft, romantic, almost kind of that bridal-esque vibe, if you will. I didn't want to do the full-on glitter bomb double cut crease situation that I did last year with the hot Barbie pink. I wanted to make this more soft and wearable so it would be perfect for any occasion, really, date night, whatever. It's just soft and oh, I just love how it came out. I did use the new Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Pillow Talk Instant Eyeshadow Palette. Looks like this. I vibe with all of these shades. It has me written all over it. So we are definitely going to do more looks with this palette, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail with this palette, show you guys some swatches and, you know, all of that. So we'll do that when I use this palette next. Now, I did have to kind of double dip and pull from some other palettes because I kind of had a vision of what I wanted this look to be. So that is what I did, and you guys will see that throughout the tutorial. So I want to keep this intro really short and just kind of welcome you guys. If you are new, welcome you to the video and my channel. I'm Lauren Jade. I'm 57. I have mature, crepey, wrinkly skin with hooded eyes that are slightly downturned. So trust me, I do know that the struggle is real. And even though we all have different eye shapes and different levels of hoodedness, I hope you guys can pick up a few tips and tricks so you guys can rock your hooded eye situation as well. And if you guys are new, I'd love to have you join me. Please hit the subscribe button and the post notification bell right next to it. That way YouTube will notify you each and every time I upload. And so without further ado, if you guys want to see how I created this soft, romantic Valentine's Day look, then just keep on watching and let's get right into this tutorial. I already went ahead and I primed my eyes with MAC's Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. Bear with me today, you guys, because we are going to be hopping and skipping around in different palettes. I am going to set this base using this shade right here, which is a nice skin tone friendly shade. It's very similar to Melt's Blur, but it just maybe has a slight less of a peachy undertone, but yet it works so perfect. Very skin tone friendly type shade. I'm just going to pat this really super quickly and just kind of tap and press it in. It almost kind of gives that cream shadow effect. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you guys know that I have said bye-bye to that translucent YouTube powder method of setting the primer. I've always thought that was kind of half-baked. I never liked it, so happy to let that one go. So I'm just tapping this in, pressing it in. And you can see that it just kind of gives that lit from within look. So it looks like it's kind of coming out from the skin, like it's a part of your skin. I just love how that looks. So I am tapping some white shadow here onto the lower portion of my lid. And I'm really kind of getting high up into that socket. Make sure you're looking down into the mirror because you need to be able to fully access, you know, the socket line. You've got to be able to see where your own shading is so you can get right underneath that orbital bone and really hollow out the eye. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just following the shape of my own contour here, and I'm just using this white shade here from the James Charles palette to do that. And people tell you, well, you have to look down into the mirror in order to access your lid space. That's true, but what they don't tell you is that that's how you see your orbital bone. That's how you can really get high up into that socket, is by looking down into the mirror. All right, I am putting in a little fake crease. This step is totally optional. You guys know I do this in every single tutorial, just because I want to be able to see the shadows when my eyes are open and I'm looking straight ahead. So my natural crease is like right here, and I'm taking this a couple of millimeters above my natural crease. So now when I place my shadows, now I know that when I blend upwards, you're going to see them when my eyes are open. Plus, I like to fill in all of this real estate up here. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be blending this all up and over through here. So now I have my, basically my shape of my eyeshadow mapped out here. Now, I don't take this all the way down here, and you could, if you were going for more of that like extended crease effect, you could just take it out and then just like wing it out. I usually keep mine within the confines of my eye shape, so kind of like in a little half moon shape. I'm basically just mimicking my natural crease, just drawing a fake one directly above it. All right, I'm using this It Cosmetics brush. And I'm just going to kind of buff that upwards. And again, looking down into the mirror so I can get right underneath that socket bone. Getting really high up, I'm just kind of pushing this up towards like the brow. I just love how like the pinks and the browns kind of mesh together. You get such a nice like pinky taupey brown, and I love how that looks. So I'm going to take the Hoola bronzer. This is from last year's blush bar. And as always, I'm going to bronze my crease, and I usually start from like this inner contour right here, it's in a bridge of the nose right here, and I'm just going to sweep this up here through this upper part of the socket. It just gives such a nice sultry fade, and I love how that looks. So it's just something I do in every single eye look. Just kind of brush that up. I typically don't take like darker colors on my inner corner socket, right? I usually just keep that for the bronzer. So I'm just starting by placing a little dot right out here. And I'm using this shade right here, which is Dusk. And just placing this little dot right out here on this outer crease area right here, just to add some depth and dimension to this outer section right here. And I'm kind of keeping it rounded. My eyes are slightly downturned. So I'm kind of going in the, right on the round part. So because they kind of come down right here, I'm taking it right as they come down. So like right there. And I do this simply because like I want this shade to be blended out and up all in through here. I want this shade to kind of peek out over and above all of my other shades that I'm going to be using. So I'm blending this up and out, and I'm keeping it kind of rounded. And then I'm also dragging a little bit of it kind of downward at a slant, because eventually we're going to be connecting everything kind of here at the outer corner here. We're going to kind of be connecting this crease with these shades, with this part of like the V. So it's all going to kind of connect in this little outer corner area here. So I'm going to kind of keep this rounded as I'm blending. And you can see that I'm kind of blending it towards like the tail of like the brow. So it's almost like this. It's kind of keeping it rounded. And then I'm also sweeping it in on this little arm of like the outer V. All right, I switched brushes. This is a Sigma E25. I just wanted to switch brushes so that I could add like a little bit more, tap a little bit more onto this little outer V area right here. It's amazing how this palette just like has not a lot of kick up, but like it's just so smooth. Like it's just an effortless blend so far. So now I'm hoping you can see that there's kind of that connection between what's going on here on this little outer crease here and this little arm of this V. It's kind of all connecting at this little outer corner here. Kind of like right where I did that little like dot stamp. So that's kind of like the home base. Everything is kind of connecting over there. So hopefully you can see the shape that I'm kind of going for. It's almost like a little inverted C shape. The outer V is typically, you know, you've got one arm going this way and then you've got the other arm kind of going into your crease, right? But when you have hooded eyes or slightly downturned, this arm that kind of goes into the crease is just lifted up a little bit higher. So that's why I was kind of going in a circular motion and just kind of going and rounding it out like this, just to kind of give it that lift right here, right? So everything is kind of lifted up and out towards like the tail of that brow. And then this arm is just kind of coming in. So it's an outer V. It's just a little bit of a different shape of an outer V. You have to kind of adjust these eyeshadow techniques according to whatever eye shape you have. All right, so I'm going to grab this shade here from the chocolate bar just because I need like a vanilla bone shade. And neither palette has one of those. I'm just going to take this up here, put this in this little arch of like the brow. And I'm going to kind of drag it down so it can kind of catch the edges of that peachy shade and just make everything nice and airbrushed. All right, I just grabbed the Sigma E37 and I'm just swirling a little bit extra of that into this inner corner here, just to keep it nice and bright, and also just to soften this area right here. All right, now we are moving on. So now I'm gonna go into the Kylie palette and I'm going to grab this shade right here, Pink Problems. It's just such a really pretty, almost like a brownish, kind of a taupey pink with like a little mauve-y undertone. I don't know, it's hard to describe it, but I really love that shade. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna kind of stamp like right in that same area. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to work that color down into the same little kind of inverted C kind of area right there. And then I'm going to kind of round it out here. They just mesh really nicely together. So a little stamp, a little blend, little circular motions, and then down and through here. I'm gonna go back into that first shade, that February shade, that pinky shade, and I'm just gonna dust that like in this little upper socket and just kind of connect it to like that bronzer that I did. And I'm taking this kind of up a little bit high, almost like in a diagonal shape, kind of like towards like the brow area. Just very, very lightly, just kind of connecting it. I often work in sections because my eyes are slightly downturned, so I will often work in this front inner socket where I do like my bronzer and my inner corner kind of shading, which again, I usually keep very, very light, usually with like the bronzer. And then I kind of work in this little outer V area, and then I just kind of like to lightly kind of connect with whatever transition shade I've got going. And I just want to keep this really light and soft, and I'm taking it kind of up towards like the brow here, so at a upward angle, just making sure that I'm really hollowing out the eye. Always catfishing. You want to get that fake crease up as high as you can so you can cheat that lid space and just get your eyes to look open, more big, you know, wider, and all of that. And that's kind of what that does when you kind of like cheat that lid space and take it up really, really high up through the socket. You really just create the illusion that your eyes are just so much bigger and you have all this more extra lid space to work with. All right, so this is the last shade I'm going to be using, and then we're going to start the shimmers on the lid. So I'm going to grab this shade right over here, the darkest one right here. This is so pretty, and I'm using a LEWK 231. It's a small tapered blending brush. And the same thing, I'm just going to tap a little right in there. Now I am taking this one just a little bit lower than the other two. It's kind of like right in this little outer V socket right in here. And I'm going to be bringing that down here as well. Almost kind of like that little inverted C shape. Kind of get that little, and I'm rounding this out here. Kind of keep that shape going. Tap and just kind of blend this into here. Now I don't take this like all the way like to the end, just because I'm gonna pick up just a little bit extra, and I'm gonna tap this right out here, this little outer V section right here. Tap a little bit extra and kind of connect it to that little stamp thing here that I did. And then I'm going to grab a larger blending brush, the Sigma E40, and I'm just gonna kind of give a nice little once over here. All right, I'm just gonna do a little bit of baking here, just a tiny, tiny bit, just to kind of catch any fallout if I have with the glitter shades, just because like you never know. I always forget to do this step at the beginning. I don't know why. I guess I'm old, and like my memory is like just like when you get old. I mean, that's my excuse for everything. I forget. Just kind of giving that nice little rounded blend. So I want to keep this rounded, this little outer section right here. All right, now I'm going to go in with my P. Louise base here in the shade 0. I'm using my P. Louise brush. I'm not exactly sure what shimmers I'm going to be doing. I did pull out a bunch of glitters. I talked about this on my Instagram, and I promised you guys it was not going to be a glitter bomb, that we were going to do a soft, wearable, kind of a romantic vibe. So that is what I am working and sticking towards here. All right, I'm just kind of cutting out like half the crease. We're just doing like a half cut crease situation today. All right. Taking this high up through that socket, getting right underneath that socket bone. Again, looking down into the mirror so I can hollow out and get up as high as I can, always wanting to catfish. All right, now to decide what to do. I grabbed some great glitters that I thought would be really good options for you guys if you did not want to mess with the normal, traditional type, you know, pressed glitters. So these liquid glitters, they always have like adhesives in them, so you don't have to use extra glitter glue unless you want to. These Stila ones, this one is stunning. This one's in the shade Perlina. This is in the shade Kitten Karma. These are stunning. I use this pink silver gold one all the time along with my Midnight Cowboy shade. This is the Heavy Metal Glitter Liner shade. This one's in the shade Volume. And then there is one from NYX. So any of these types, I have so many to pick from, but those ones are just like the easiest ones. I think I have this Kylie. This is from last year's called Roses Are Red. I may dip into that. I'm not sure. I just really wanted to keep this soft, and I'm not even going to spritz my brush even for like the glitters, because I just kind of want it to be a soft, romantic kind of a vibe. So I think I'm going to take the shade Be Mine, which is like one of my favorite shades, and then this kind of champagne shade. And I'm going to start with that and just kind of see where we are in the whole scheme of things. If I want to put a tiny bit of glitter on there or not. I'm just going to tap that in, and I'm going to just going to mesh that like that. And then I'm going to take the lighter shade. I'm going to flip the brush over, and I'm just going to take that lighter champagne shade and kind of use that as an inner corner light, and just kind of take it up in through here into this upper socket region and just kind of mesh them together. I just wanted to kind of keep it really soft. Okay. So I like how this looks. I'm also going to grab this brush and just grab this pinky shade and just kind of go over the edges, like the border, like where the shimmer comes up and to meet the matte, just to kind of smooth that out a little bit. So I really like how this looks. I may just keep it like that. I do want to pop a little darker shade though on this little outer corner. So what I'm going to do, I did find that I had this shade the other day, and I thought, oh gosh, this shade is absolutely perfect for this step. So I'm going to grab this shade right here. I'm not even going to pronounce it. It's from the Warrior 2 Juvia's Place palette. And I'm just going to take this on this outer section right here, almost like in a little baby wing situation. And then I'm going to take it in. So almost like a little wing, but almost like an inverted C, just kind of like right in there. So it's just a little wing, and I'm just going to go into there. So right in here, making a little wing, and then taking that tip and just bringing it in a little bit. just love this. It's kind of like a nice little burgundy. It just adds some depth right into this lower portion. And then I'm going to go back to the other brush and I'm just going to kind of mesh that in with the other shades, just kind of softly blending out the edges. I don't want to swashbuckle it all over the place. I just want to kind of blend on the spot, like a little spot blending, and just kind of blend the edges up and in just a hair. So I may take just a hair of this Roses Are Red, just like a tiny bit, and just so tiny that I'm just going to put it on the brush. I'm just going to just kind of give it that little pop. I don't want this to be a full-on like wet metal foil effect or, you know, a glitter bomb, so I'm just taking a tiny bit. Adding that tiny little bit, it just kind of gave a little tiny sparkle and pop, like right kind of in the center, and then I just like keeping it nice and kind of white and open and bright with that champagne shimmer in the front. So yeah, I just didn't want to do like the whole entire lid with that. I just wanted to kind of have that little accent, kind of a pop. So I'm going to go back into this Juvia's Place palette, and I love this shade right here. This is the Warrior 2 palette. It's kind of a smoky charcoal gray, and it's perfect for this look because I don't want to do like a black, because I don't want it to be too hard, and I want something that'll kind of mesh really nicely with this darker burgundy shade that I used. So I'm just going to stamp this on the, kind of wiggle it really, kind of stamp and wiggle, just like between the lashes. And when you're dealing with hooded eyes, you know, it's just a fact of life. Like if you're doing a wing, and if your eyes, especially if your eyes have like a slight downturn shift and you're doing like a little wing out here, a little shadow wing, a baby wing, it is going to be thicker on the outer corner. It's just the way it is. And I take it a little bit thicker just because it kind of gives the illusion that the eyes are not so downturned. Now when I get to this inner corner, I make it very, very thin because I don't want to take away, like I don't want to add to the lid space, right? I want to keep it as big as I can. But on the outer corner, it does get a little big. So I'm just stamping this and kind of getting it in between the lashes just so that I can add some more depth and dimension into the lashes. And then when I get to this outer corner, I'll show you what I'm going to do here. It's just an easy way to make a little tiny baby shadow wing. So I'm taking it kind of like to the end, and then I'm going to switch to this. It's an angled liner brush. Any angled liner brush will do. This one is an Hourglass number 10. Super soft. So what I'm going to do, and it's the perfect size too, right? So following my lower lash line going up, I'm going to go to the outer corner of my upper lash line and just kind of stamp. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a little stamp. And right over here, like stamp. And I like everything kind of going upwards. So yes, a little bit of that elongated, pulled out look, but I also kind of keep everything kind of going up. So you get this little stamp here, and now all you have to do is just kind of connect it in. And you have this little tiny baby little wing that just adds some depth and dimension to the eye shape. And I'm keeping this one really short and small. Sometimes I pull them out and extend them. This one I'm keeping really small, and I'm just going to take this on the inner corner now. So on my lips, and I did pop on some falsies on my lips, I'm wearing, I think this is the Hot Lips Kissing Tree or something like that. It's in the shade Kim KW. It's like a pinky nudie beige shade. It's beautiful. I've had this for, I want to say like 2-3 years, since 2016 or 17, something like that. So a while. And this is the Lip Cheat. This is in the shade Pillow Talk. It's a lip liner. So that is what is on my lips. And I did get her new blush. This is in the shade Ecstasy. I'm trying to get a good view of it here. It's just a gorgeous warm coral peachy, like a coral peachy shade right there. It's just stunning. I know it's hard, like right there. I know it's hard to see when these like lights, but really want to use this today as my blush. I'm using a Tom Ford blush brush. I'm not a real apples of the cheek blush person, so what I usually do is I just like to swirl it around and just kind of out towards like the temple. And this is like a swirl, so apparently the deal is you take like this outer, which is more peachy, and you kind of like swirl that around, and then this little center pinky shade that's like in the center, if you can see that little swirl. It's called the Cheek to Chic blush. It's like a swirl thing. I usually just mix them together, but if you wanted to do like a special accent on like just like the apples of the cheek, you could do that with this little center shade. So yeah, she's got a couple other shades in this Cheek to Chic blush that I really want to get, but how pretty is that? Oh, I just gravitate to these pinks and peaches. All right, we are going to do a look with this. This is the Per Barbie palette. I'm just going to grab this shade right here and pop that on my inner corner. All right, so I did take the hair down, and I had to put on something kind of sparkly, and I noticed that it matches my Per Barbie palette. But being that this is a Valentine's Day look, I had to end it with something kind of sparkly on. So I'm going to spray the face. I'm using my Morphe Setting Mist, which I absolutely love because the spray is so fine and it smells amazing. I got my fan. All right, guys, that completes the look. Finally, I love how it came out. It's perfect for every occasion, not just for Valentine's Day. We will be doing more looks with this palette, I promise, because I absolutely love this palette. Maybe on my next tutorial, because I'm not ready to stop using this one just yet. So, all right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys liked what you've seen and you were able to pick up some tips and tricks, I hope you guys will join me. Please hit the subscribe button on your way out before you leave, and that's it. Mwah! I love you guys, and I will see you all in my next one.